Hello and welcome to another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. My name is Adam. I'm the community manager of Franchise Hockey. With me, as always, and digitally pictured kind of on your screen is FHM producer Jeff. Say hi, Jeff,
Hey, everybody.
who has returned after a weeks-long hiatus, and we are back with Rewriting History, Montreal Canadiens 1910 season. Improvement has to happen, right? Part 2.
We did
Jeff,
okay
we
last year. I mean, the real Canadians were pretty terrible their first season. I think they were 2-14 or 4-12, something like that. But we actually managed to go just about 500. No, they were 2-10. There we go. We were 6-5-1.
so
So
that's all relative, is what you're saying.
yeah, so there's been a few changes in the league this year as well. What's happened is the two teams up north, Cobalt and Haleybury, that were two of the teams that came into league with Ambrose O'Brien, who also owned Renfrew and the first in Montreal for the first year. Uh, what happened there was the miners in those two towns got a little annoyed that their previous league where they would get pretty much one game a week at least was replaced by this new National Hockey Association, and they were only getting
Hey, Jeff,
yep, good.
I am hearing repeat, I think, coming through your mic. Oh, no, wait, never
But
mind. Oh, I got to figure it out. Never mind. It's on my end.
it's on your end.
It's my,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay. So what's happened is the miners were irritated that they were only getting with this new league. Each team only played a half dozen home games a season, so barely anything instead of the weekly games they were used to. And it was obviously a little expensive to run these teams, so the O'Briens decided to trim things back a little bit this year and just went with Renfrew. And well, I'll explain the Canadian situation in a sec, but they're only in the league for one more year. Renfrew is going to drop out after this season. We do have a new team, the Quebec Athletics slash Bulldogs. They kind of went back and forth on the nickname for a while there. They don't have any players at the moment. They're going to have to fill that roster out with free agents and draft picks. We're just on draft day here. What's going on with Montreal this year? For the first season, I think I explained this a little bit in the last stream. They were sort of the bootleg version of the Canadians. They were calling themselves the uh, basically the Canadian Hockey Club, Canadians Hockey Club.
Yes,
Problem is
yes.
there was also there was the Club Athletic Canadian in Montreal, who was primarily a boxing and wrestling promoter. But they'd actually tried to buy the Montreal Wanderers a couple of years earlier, so they were a little irritated when this new league forms and this team calling themselves the Canadians or the Canadian Club, kind of infringing on their copyright, appeared, and so they demanded that the team be sold to them, or they were going to drag the league into court. The O'Briens, who this is one of the four teams that they owned, decided, okay, we don't need that trouble. So what happened in the off season is George Kennedy, the manager of the Canadian Athletic Club, takes over the team essentially. The way that works in the game, the owners don't change because I've got Kennedy set up to be the GM of the Canadians because that's effectively what he was in these years. He's one of the guys that when the after the well at the end of the 1919 season, when the Spanish flu pandemic was going around, the Canadians lost one player and they had to cancel the Stanley Cup final this year. Kennedy also got sick from that, and apparently it did a lot of long-term damage to him. He was only in his 40s, I think. Actually, I've got a picture of him here. And he passed away at the end of 1921. So he's only got a few years left at this point, although he's still a relatively young man. That's a picture of him with Constant Lemorin, who's actually the guy on the right. The captions are backwards in the picture. French wrestler, or French wrestler or Belgian wrestler, one of the two.
That makes more sense why he's so big then.
Yeah, and Kennedy's a pretty big guy too. He was a wrestler himself, but Lemorin was apparently the one of the best, better guys in the top candidate or contender for the heavyweight championship. So he's a big guy. Uh, and fairly young guy too. I think this is 19, probably a couple of years after this game. So fairly young, and but he's taken over the team at this point. And get back to the game. So we've got new ownership. We've got new uniforms, which are still not really what you're used to from the Canadiens. You got this sort of red sweater, at least. It's the right color, but it's a big green logo as opposed to the blue and white that we were wearing last year. So what we've got, and you can see what we've got left from last season. We've got the core guys. We signed Georges Vezina a year early. So we've got decent goaltending, better goaltending than they actually had in the first season. So that's probably why we did a little bit better than expected. But the other guys, Nuzi Lalonde, Didier Pitre, and Jacques Laviolette, basically the core of the team is pretty much the same as it was in real life. I am going to go with a house rule in this game, or at least for the first, I don't know how many seasons, probably at least until a few years after we get into the NHL years. I'm only going to sign players who are either French Canadian or at least from Quebec. So handicaps us a little bit, but I think there's enough of them that it should make for a fairly realistic Montreal team, and it'd be a bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, just a couple things. AJ
Yep.
Doulis says hello to both you and I in the chat,
Yeah.
and King of Pigus says going far back.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
1910, we probably move this along because we're trying to get through. We want to get through, ideally, in this series of streams over the next few months, get through the entire 113-year history of the Canadiens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we are on right now is the draft. There wasn't really a draft in this era. Players would just sign with the team as free agents, but we've got it is included in the game, which sort of balances things out a little bit more and makes it a little bit more interesting. Joe Malone is probably the big prize this year. We don't really need another goalie. Clint Benedict is Hall of Fame goalie, but we've already got Vezina in net, so we don't really need that. The draft order has us picking third out of the 5 teams, and it's only 2 rounds long. Or no, 4 rounds long. So we should be able to pick up, at least a little bit more depth here. So I'm just going to start it and go pick by pick until we get to us.
Don't skip it.
And Quebec, the new team goes with Benedict, the Hall of Fame goalie who actually played for Ottawa. And just do pick until human. And Montreal, a bit of a surprise. The Wanderers take Frank Foyston, junior from Ontario, which leaves Joe Malone, who, despite the name, he's not French, but he is from Quebec, so I think that fits our. Well, let me double check, make sure I think he's from Montreal. No, he's from Quebec City. So I think I'm going to go with that. It's kind of hard to turn him down.
Yeah.
And that boosts our scoring a little bit. So
huge.
Yeah. Quebec Junior League. Okay, good. So we got Malone. He's a little bit older, but I'll take that. And I'm just going to progress through the rest of it. Brentford taking Jack Dara. Ottawa takes Cy Denny. We wound up with them in real life, too. Quebec taking Odie Cleghorn in the second round. Punch Broadbent to Montreal. Pretty good pickup by them. Okay. Now that's Dick Irvin. That's Dick Irvin Sr., the father of the Hall of Fame coach. And later... it was his grandson that was the broadcaster. But he's from Hamilton, so not technically from Quebec. So let me just turn the province/state filter on.
Oh, right. You were trying to limit. I forgot.
Yeah, and okay, I think I'm going to go with Sprague Cleghorn here, who in real life had a long and distinguished career, but he actually did play with the Canadiens, but not until the early 20s.
Yeah.
Started with Renfrew and then went to the Wanderers after Renfrew went out of business. But he is from, yeah, he's from Montreal, so I will take that.
Yes,
And
I remember that from when we did our Montreal Wanderers stream and we signed him and then got the achievement for signing somebody
oh
from
yeah,
your
the
hometown.
local guy. Yep. So we get a good, tough defenseman there, and I think we're doing pretty well in this draft. Interesting thing here, we do have Hobie Baker, who never played professionally in real life, but he is in the database. So the guy who the NCAA Most Valuable Player Award is named after. Actually played for he was would have been playing for Princeton or just going into Princeton at the start of this point. So in real life, he played there for a few years. Then as an amateur, I think in the New York area, and then went away to World War One and was killed in a plane accident, if I remember right. So we'll see if he actually gets into the NHL in this one. I think if I've got the way I've got him set up, he's a little bit difficult for teams to sign. So we'll see if Ottawa can do that. And
While you're continuing on here, AJ Dulis just has any thoughts since World Junior teams were announced? Any thoughts on anyone?
didn't have a chance to look at that. I saw they were announced, but I didn't have a look over the roster. Were there any surprises?
I was a little bit surprised that Canada cut my goalie, but at the same time, he didn't have a very good camp. So, and by my goalie, I mean Dominic DeVentis.
Well, I think we actually had once in a
We did,
stream
yes.
like 3, 4 years ago.
No, I'd
It's
say
quite a while
two
back.
years ago maximum.
2 years ago, not that far. Okay, so I've got another pick here, and I've still got it filtered to only the Quebec guys. And let's see, we've still only got. Hmm. Dave Ritchie, who I'm assuming is not the same guy who used to coach the BC Lions by that name. Uh,
That would make him way too old because he
yeah,
was
just a
old. He
little.
was in Winnipeg, or was not a young man.
I think I am going to go with, since I haven't taken any French Canadian guys yet, I'm going to go with Edmond Bouchard instead of Ritchie. But if Ritchie's around in the next round, maybe I'll grab him too.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, are we gonna be flexible on guys from Ottawa and pretend they're from Hull?
If we need to be. But I think that right now, I mean, I've got it filtered and there's still a pretty good supply. And George Curie, who, yeah, played for Quebec, but didn't really. Oh, yeah, he's just got the one game in the NHA and then comes in for the last season again and has a couple of decent years. So I think I'll grab him. And we're done. And just continue the game. We'll fly through this pretty quickly. I had a few re-signings out, and I think I re-signed some staff as well, but I haven't really advanced it too far off of where we were last time. And let's get the rookie signed. 1,000 a year, that's very reasonable. Yeah, Malone is asking for quite a bit, but let's drop him back just a tiny bit. Nope, not going to go for that. Okay. And who else? Oh, yeah, Bouchard and Carey. Yeah, just $1,000. The salaries at this point are probably a little higher than they were historically. Oh, I'm out of my contract limit already. Okay. He's
Oh,
half star. I may need to let somebody go. Forgot I had it set low for these years. Okay, so Malone signs, and Bouchard signs as well. And Bouchard wants 8, so not a problem. And Malone wants New Zealand's number. No, you cannot have the number of the best player on the team. You can have 9. I'm going to cut somebody loose here. Got Vezina's brother. I could let him go, or no, I think Chaplot is the guy that's going to have to get dumped. Well, he makes a little money off of me, but good enough. And got a couple more signings. Just give them their numbers. And now I can get Carey signed as well. Gordon, I'm actually going to give him number 2 because Malone, not Joe Malone, Jeff Malone is the guy that he'd be taking that from, and he's probably not going to play that much this year. And finally, we get Carey signed. And okay, I think that's our roster for this season.
Simple enough.
Yep, let me just roughly set up the lines here. Having trouble finding right shooting defensemen. Actually, it looks, oh no, actually Malone is better than I thought. I wonder if I should maybe move Bertrand back to D. And I'll try it with these guys first. Bouchard doesn't quite make it in. Boucher, Malone will have to go in. Oh, and Eugene Payan, who I signed as a free agent. Actually, it's Fred Strike, who we signed out of the Industrial League in Montreal and wound up, I think, tied for our leading scorer last year, is kind of getting pushed out here.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're making progress with the depth, so. He's going to lose his job to Malone and Payan. Oh, actually, yeah, Leduc can come out, Payan can go in, and what does that do? Let the AI pick the roles and set up the lines. Now I got too many perimeter shooters in, so I'm going to swap Malone's role around to something other than that.
Now, Jeff, I forgot to ask, did you get my mod installed?
Sorry, forgot again.
Killing me, Jeff.
I promise next time. And the D is looking a little bit thin, but I think we can go with that. And tactics, let's just, I'll probably go with what I had last year unless something looks, yeah, actually it's looking like the tactics we were using last year are a little better. Oh no, there's a lot down here. Is that defensive zone coverage can be better? Yeah, just go with man on man.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Thanks for reminding me of that, Jeff.
Reminding you of what?
Have you heard of a set you call Royal Retros?
No, what is it?
Well, they make custom clothing, but they have a bunch of it came on my phone as advertisement, and they have a bunch of WHA stock of stuff.
Okay, and the free agent report. Everest Payet is, I think, the only guy that we can sign going by our Quebec only rule, and don't really need him, so I think we're fine there. Oh, set up the, whoops.
I'm sorry, I should be clear. They have more than just WHA. They have a bunch of previous old leagues.
Sorry, knock the screen off a little bit. Okay, there we go. And lost my train of thought there. What was I doing? Oh, training. That's what I wanted to do. And Vezina obviously is going to be the focus as our starting goalie, but I want to get a little more into Clyghorn
Yes,
for
Scott
sure.
Frischers. They have a Cleveland Barons jersey I'm interested in. Yeah,
Let's
I've
see.
looked up
Barons
reviews.
had nice jerseys.
They did. They also have Montreal Maroons, California Golden Seals.
Some of the Seals jerseys were okay. Others are
They
not
have Pittsburgh
great.
Pirates and Philly Quakers jerseys even.
Wow.
Hamilton Tigers, Quebec Bulldogs. They actually have the Nordiques 97 jersey.
Oh, with the Husky on it?
Yeah. Oh, they even have the Hampton Road Rhinos from the
The
what was
what?
that? The um
Yeah, me, I've never heard of them.
yeah, no, this came up when I was doing some logo stuff earlier. It was
The Hampton Roads, right?
ro-
I
roller hockey league.
oh
Is that
yeah, Roller Hockey International,
Montreal Wanderers
the
shirt?
Vancouver Voodoo. They got that.
I'm looking Portland Rosebuds, Victoria
Okay,
Cougars.
so I got the
Oh,
training all set up. Budget seems fine. I don't have to actually I can save a little bit of money because we're in the off season here.
actually, that is super tempting to order.
What's that?
Wow. Golden Seals Christmas crew neck sweater.
Okay.
Sparky wishes you a Merry Christmas.
And a few trading rumors. Scouting update. I'm curious to see how Quebec has filled out their roster so far. Oh, they've actually done a pretty good job. They're grabbing. Yeah, okay. They've taken guys off the Montreal Shamrocks who've also gone out of business, and Haleybury and Cobalt. Yeah, that's not unlike what they did in real life. Picked off, Art Ross is there. They've actually Quebec's has put together a pretty good team. Although it's still, I think, a little on the young side, but. And we're going to go through these few months pretty quickly because the game's still at this point. I think there's still a few arenas that are using natural ice, so the schedule doesn't start until way into the winter. Like last year, technically, we didn't even start until 1910, so it wasn't really the 1909-10 season. It was just the 1910 season, but we will get a start in December. Pretty good development. Just a couple of the backup goalies are going down, which is not a big deal. And should have a game coming up soon. Should also mention we're still working on the next update for the game. Got a couple of new features coming in with that. Well, one change to additions to an existing feature, and then a couple of new things. And the various bug fixing. The first one is the first content update. The Christmas one is usually a bit of a hybrid of bug fixing that's left over from the initial update and then adding new features, and then we'll probably be adding more stuff in the new year. But hoping to get that out next week to you. Still testing it at this point. Got a few fixes in there already, and it's December, so I'm gonna crank the morale up, bump game promotions a little, and it's historical, so you don't really need to spend a ton on scouting, and there's no tournaments to be watching. Season ticket numbers, okay, right in the middle of the league, really. And we got an exhibition game against the Wanderers. And we get hammered, 8-1. Ouch.
All right, Jeff, I'm just looking here too. You can get a Memphis Mad Dog jersey.
An actual team?
That was a CFL team in the 90s.
Oh, right. They got the Shreveport, what was it, Pirates?
Yeah, Sacramento Gold Miners, San Antonio Texans. Yeah, Shreveport Pirates.
And the next game against Wanderers, 13-4 loss. So we're not really warming up the goalies at the start of the season here. Nobody to worry about losing to waivers. And last game against Ottawa. Can we at least win this one? Nope. 7-3 went for Ottawa. This year was actually Ottawa was the dominant team in the league. I don't think the second and third place teams finished at 500, and Ottawa was way out in front of everybody else. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. And Eugene Payan is injured and going to miss a couple of weeks. So it looks like Fred Strike doesn't get pushed out of the lineup. Just down to the third line. And we're going to have our home opener against Ottawa in a couple of nights. Yeah, it's so New Year's Eve. So it just barely makes it into 1910. We'll get a one game in 1910, and then the rest will be in 11. So we got the best skater in the league and fastest as well. Jack Laviolette is the most underrated. Then Vezina is already saying he's the best goalie in the league. Not sure that's accurate. Have we got Ottawa? Oh, yeah. Lasseur and Lehman and Ottawa are probably better than he is, and everybody else is. Oh, we've got no worse than the second best goaltending in the league, put it that way.
Curious question
Yep.
for Jeff and Adam. Would it be possible for future titles for the Kraken Knights, for example, to have a fan number retirement? I made players and retired them to do it manually, but I'm curious if that would be considered. For example, the Knights have 58 retired.
Way ahead of you, and I did that in the data for the upcoming update. I just did. I think I created a retired player named non-player or something like that. So I did that for the. There's 3 or 4 teams that have numbers like that. Vegas has one for the. Was it 59 for the victims of the shooting there?
58.
58. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And there's I think does Columbus have one? Can't remember, but there's a handful. And and Florida's got one retired for their former owner Wayne Ozenga. Can't remember what number that is, but I've done a few of those, so that should be in the next update. And I'm going to give Kerry a little time playing at a lower level. Got to move 2 more guys. Short, another young guy, and I will put Payan injured so he can fit under the roster limit that way. Okay, start of the real season. And a 4-3 overtime win over Ottawa. That's not a bad start, considering we were terrible in the regular. Oh, look at the shots, though. I think Vezina saved us there. Outshot 61-25. So
wow.
Bad goaltending from Ottawa and great goaltending from George Vezina.
Ottawa is amazing at this point, but.
And yeah, look at that. Vezina got a 100 game rating.
Yeah. Well, that does not happen often, but he should for 61. Bill Torrey is the other AJ duelist says.
Right. Yep. Okay, so off to a early win. Now when we get the late training camp report, it messes with the timing of this one a little bit to have the season start so late, but basically I got a couple of unimportant guys going downhill and improvement from a lot of key guys. Cleghorn's up to, or no, I think he was at 1 star already. And Lalonde is at 5 out of 5 now. And I think Montreal, the Canadiens won their first championship in 1916. So it'd be nice to get a jump on that because we got a couple of dozen of them to beat the actual mark. And
Here's a hat that maybe speaks to you, Jeff, on sale right now. The Orlando Rage snapback hat.
And it's okay, not quite as good in the second game. 13-2 loss to Renfrew, who's only going to be around for a few more months. But the Patrick brothers killed us. Frank Patrick. Well, yeah, I mean you can see how good of a team this is. Frank Patrick, Cyclone Taylor, Lester Patrick, and I think Dara and is Rowe in the Hall of Fame? No, I don't think so. I think Dara is and Rowe isn't, but almost everybody in their lineup gets a goal. And they're off to 2-0 to a 2-0 start, but they're going to be going out of business soon. And Payan has to come off the injured list. I'm going to have to move somebody. It looks like Bertrand. To the farm team. Oh, and Vezina. Well, we got Chatain for Vezina. And Vezina's, I think, oh no, did he just, yeah, I think he improved during training camp and that pushed him ahead. So we'll leave him there, and Payan is active. Has Strike done anything? Nope, pointless in his first 2 games, so he is going to go into the bench. And we're going to have the expansion, I guess, Quebec Athletics. And everybody on 100% health should be able to win this, I would hope. And we do, 7-3 win. Looks like the second line had a few points, and we actually outshot them, so it was a legitimate win this time. We didn't get one stolen by the goalie. And 2-1 to start the year. I think Montreal, Canadiens were actually 500 this year, and then this was their best year for up until, I think, about 1914 or 1915. They were under 500 most other years.
A couple of questions here from the chat too.
Yep,
here,
good.
Jeff, as we continue to go. AJ Dula says, "I feel like Veranda could end up getting the suitcase ability pretty soon because every team he's on undervalues him, and he ends up being dealt as he's been waived right now."
Yeah, that's not a
Speaking of
bad
which,
idea.
what do you think about? We had been talking about this, but St. Louis fired Craig Berube last night. I
Yeah,
think
well,
he was on our list.
you were telling me that you thought there
Good
were too many
callback.
guys getting fired in the game, and then went
Well,
and
no, I
looked, and
told
we realized it was about half what the actual level is.
no, but I mean, like, we had talked about this earlier in the year about who we thought was going to be the first or one of the first coaches fired, and I think I'm pretty sure I had Berube up there, along with
And we get a
Minnesota's.
5-2 win over the Wanderers there, so I'm just going to keep going with this.
Yeah, continuing, AJ Julis also asks, also, is there a way to manipulate a goalie to sim consistently good or bad? So Campbell, for example, doesn't end up posting Vezina numbers.
Other than just editing the ratings directly. That's about the only way. And 9-2 blowout loss to Ottawa. So I think Ottawa is starting to take over as they did in real life. Cyclone Taylor for Renfrew up to 6 games on the goal scoring streak there. And 6-1 loss to Renfrew by us.
Link Mobisky also says, have you noticed players switch nationalities during their careers? He says in his game, Cole Caulfield ended up switching to Canada and played for them in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It depends on, part of it depends on national team performance. If the American team is doing really well, you can only switch down. So the country has to be ranked below the country you're leaving. So if the U.S. team has a few good results for a few years, some of the dual nationality Canadian guys, if they're not getting time on the American national team, will try for the Canadian team instead. And we got somebody hurt. And Cleghorn, the rookie, black eye day to day. So not a big problem. Just throw Jeté in for him.
Beetle in the chat, I was going to reply to this in the forums, but since you brought it up, the year you're talking about, he actually had a bit of a down year, so that might be part of it. But a lot of it could be tactics, how much ice time he's getting. There's other factors in there too.
And 6-2 win over Quebec, so we're at least beating the expansion team handily, and we're about, this is pretty much going to form the way it did in real life. Renfrew's a little better, but we're about 500. Ottawa should be maybe slightly more dominant, but still pretty close. And Cleghorn is almost back. One of the things we're going to do is in the update, it just reminds me, with the injury updates, those can get a little spammy at times. So there is going to be an option to prevent those from breaking the autoplay. They won't take you out of autoplay if all you're getting is injury announcements. And I got somebody else right now. Dickory, where's he been playing? He is third line right wing. So I'll give Leduc a game. He hasn't played yet this year. And Cleghorn is healthy again, so he can go back out. And against the Wanderers, who we've done pretty well against this year. And yeah, 3-1 win. New Zealand won with a couple of points. And now that I think about it, we should take a look at our... Actually, first, the owner confidence update. So still thinks that we're in a rebuilding phase. Fans are happy, and we don't have to worry about job security. And I'm just going to take a quick look through.
I have never seen that Detroit Cougars logo that they have on this jersey. Okay, I'm sorry, I've gotten off track, but what?
Was it the Victoria one, or?
Hold on, I'm going to send this to you. And all right, hold on, let's see if this will actually work.
Okay, new, and I'm just having a look at the media coverage. It was generally being nice to us, so we haven't really had anything to respond to media-wise. I think that's one of the things we may look at updating in the new year, is adding a few more options for dealing with positive media coverage as well as the negative stuff. And I wanted to say check the scoring as well. Petra is actually leading the team in scoring after.
Okay, Jeff, just look at Discord for a moment.
What am I looking at?
Look at the image attached.
Oh yeah. Oh, good God, that's kind of hideous.
I've never seen that before. Have you ever seen that logo?
No, that's awful. Where'd they get that from?
Yeah. Well, this is from this from this retro site.
I think they're maybe inventing some of their own there.
I've never seen that logo. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've never seen that logo before.
Okay, Dickory is back, but now Bernier is out. So wait, Leduc goes in for Dickory, or Dickory goes in for Leduc rather. And then Bernier, I'm going to try putting Strike in for him against the Wanderers. And a 7-4 loss. So there are no playoffs this year, by the way. So the regular season winner is the overall winner. Trading deadline. See, I'm not sure. I don't really think there's much of a point in making any moves right now because, well, there's no playoffs to play for. We could try to pick up somebody, but Renfrew is going to be going out of business, so I can steal some of those guys. Or wait, do we have any?
Just another question.
Patrick's aren't from Quebec. Actually, I can't get that many of those guys. What were you going to say?
Yeah. AJ Doulis again, just asking the question. What do you guys think of Siliev from the upcoming draft? Very high in the rankings, but some people are lower on him. He's huge at 6'7". Anton Siliev.
Yeah, I don't think he's not super high in the rankings, is he?
I don't know enough to render a verdict.
Not right near the top, at least. But yeah, I mean, somebody's going to take him just based on the size. And Pierre Vezina, George's brother, is out with a hamstring strain after having a unexpectedly strong start to the season. Jete goes in for him.
Top 10 EP considers him top or 8th. He's a guy I could see falling lower than that. Is his skating not that good? Do I feel like I read that his skating wasn't that good?
Does it matter if he's that size? And we get a 4-3 win over Renfrew. That's good news for us. So I think that
being
puts
a team
us...
being a team that has Logan Stanley, yes. that does matter.
Okay, so we have 6 games left in the season, and we are still contending here. And
Nice.
Vezina and Leduc are both out for a little while. And moving through these fairly quickly, another 6-5 win over Renfrew. So we're not dominating, but we've actually worked our way into first overall. So ahead of the game here, and let me see. Nope, neither of those guys is quite ready to come back yet, although we could probably... I don't know, the Duke was out of the lineup regardless. Oh wait, no, strike. Wait, Dickory is on the 3rd ring. Try swapping him with Bernier. And leave Strike where he is, even though he's kind of playing out of position there. And we got Quebec, who we've done well against so far. Yeah, but not tonight. Odie Cleghorn, the brother of our first rounder, Sprague Cleghorn, gets a hat trick. And Quebec gets their first ever win against us. And yeah, that's not a bad team. A few Hall of Famers in there. And that pushes us down into second behind Renfrew. I think we've got a game in hand there. And it looks like Vezina is almost ready, but not quite. Oh, Joe Malone, jam finger day to day. Okay, well, so what I'm going to do there is swap Strike with Dickory, and then Strike will go in for Malone. As he did a pretty good job on our second line last year. And 6-5 win over the Wanderers. They're doing pretty well against the rivals. And 3 games left in the season, and I think we got a shot at winning this, Adam.
Guess we'll find out.
Be a little ahead of schedule. And let's just pump morale up all the way. Confidence update, pleasantly surprised, yep. Didn't look at the job security. Oh yeah, the fans are happy. Perfect 100. Team's perfectly harmonious, despite... surprised we haven't had... Every time I did this in a test, I did a couple of test games, and I always had a ton of problems with New Zealand, but we haven't had a single one yet, I don't think. Or maybe, no, we might have had one, but I think we fixed it right away.
Yeah.
And Quebec, now we're losing against them. 5-3 loss. So now we've actually dropped back to 3rd, but we do have 2 games remaining. Ottawa, both against Ottawa, so what can happen here? Ottawa is actually back at 500, so I think we can wind up anywhere between 1st and 4th.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Malone.
Ottawa's way too good to be that low.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's such a small number of teams. The talent is
very high.
Yeah, even the bad teams have like multiple Hall of Famers on them. Okay, Jete goes out, and where is he? Vezina goes in, the other Vezina. And
AJ Dulo's making more comments about how the Flames are looking, or Huberdeau's looking with the Flames.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like nobody came out of that trade. Well, those, like with the off-season moves with Gaudreau going to Columbus and Huberdeau winding up in Calgary. Everybody should have just stayed where they were. Okay, Ottawa and us, and we got a 6-2 win, so that puts us in. Okay, we win if we can beat Ottawa next time, I think we're the champions. Because Montreal's done their schedule and we're tied with them. Wait, are we actually going to be the champions with a negative goal differential? That'd be impressive.
Not impossible.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to send this, and do we win it? 7-4 win, and we are the National Hockey Association champions. Because there are no playoffs yet. We've got still a couple of years before we're going to have the postseason playoff. I mean, they were actually playing a Stanley Cup series in these years against the Maritime Professional League, but the games were just not even remotely competitive. The NHA teams were just blowing them out, so that's why we haven't gone to the. Wasn't really a point of making the whole Maritime League playable just to get destroyed for a couple of years. But that is a championship for us with a -6 goal differential. But great goaltending from George Vezina, who was the second best goals against in the league. We just didn't have a lot of scoring. But what scoring did we get? Okay, Didier Petra had a good year. Lalonde was healthy this time. Still would have expected him to put up a few more points. And Skinner Poulin, yeah, another good year. Malone in his first year in the league, 15 points in 14 games, pretty good. Cleghorn, Cleghorn from D gets 14 points in 15 games, more productive than he was in junior.
Yeah, just AJ Doulis asking, Vancouver Millionaires are in the PCHA, aren't they? And the answer is yes, but no.
Not yet. This will be the PCHA is still inactive at this point. They appear, if I remember right, the start of next season. Actually, we'll see that in a second. I don't care. Bernier's injured. The season's over. And I don't think we get the award scene or the champion screen because there's no playoffs. I think that he needs a playoff to trigger. But Nuzi Lalonde is awarded MVP, and good. And Vezina, top goaltender. And okay, Jimmy Gardner, the Wanderers, the top. And look at this, get my first best coach of the year. And I'm just going to let this come around to. Oh, I got to turn the budget down. No point in making you guys happy or paying game promotion costs. And there's no games going on. And I'll just get this around to July 1st so you guys can see what the upcoming changes are. And I think we can probably get the draft in as well. A little bit more development from Vezina and Carey down on the farm. And a couple of off-season injuries. And that should carry us to the end of 1911. It's odd we're getting those. I don't need to delay when the season's over. I got to check on that. I shouldn't be getting that many injuries after the playoffs end. I think.
I mean, to be
That's
fair,
because
the
there's no playoffs. That's why. That's. I gotta.
guys are going back to their regular jobs and getting hurt.
Yeah, no, that's no. The actual reason it's happening is because there aren't any playoffs, so the game doesn't realize that the season is
practicing.
ended. So it's not just not getting into the right season state. So I gotta figure.
Well, good news
a way
is
around
I
that.
believe, which we didn't you didn't overly message at the beginning of this, is we are on a test build right now.
Yep. And yeah, so if you see anything unusual in this, I don't think there's anything that'll stand out really differently. This one was mostly for bug fixes, but I will just bump my points up a little bit.
Hey, did
And
you miss this from our last conversation where
there we go. I've never had this one before. End the season with a fan happiness rating of 100. I got the achievement.
that's impressive. Your one fan must be super happy.
And there you can see there's the historical notes. The PCHA is Started with three teams set up, all owned by the Patrick family in one form or another. Don't think it actually says that in the game because I have to set up alternate owners. I think I had to give New Westminster one, and I think Lester Patrick's running Vancouver and Frank Patrick in Victoria. And the NHA, we're not going to be playing. The first couple of seasons we were playing with the Rover. That isn't going to happen anymore. So we're back to 6-team hockey. The NHA, the West Coast League, will be playing like that for a few more seasons. It's a good thing we haven't got free agency in this because I totally forgot to re-sign people.
Oops.
Yeah, let's take care of that little problem right now, including some of our better players.
They're not too angry with you.
Yeah, nice being in the league before things like the free agency and collective bargaining rights. And just get him alone there, and I will wait on the other guys. And the annual budget. Don't really have to do anything with the wages. Might as well just bump it up because there's no cost to me for that. Player development. Yeah, I can afford to bump the budget up there. And middling marketing spending should be fine. Owner took away a little bit of our profit, but I think we'll be okay here. And we should just get to the draft. We can see who we get here. Oh, didn't even think free agency. Do we have any decent Quebec-based players here? With Renfrew shutting down, don't remember them having any. Walter Rooney, Carl Kendall. There's guys I passed over in previous years. There's Louis Berlin-Cat, who played a few years later in Montreal, but not really looking that interesting. No, I think I'll just wait for the draft. And Ottawa letting a few guys go, and we've only got 4 teams in the draft. So Frank Neighbor, Hall of Famer, and played his whole career for Ottawa, if I remember right. Barney Stanley, Bullet Joe Simpson, Art Duncan, Scotty Davidson. There's a half dozen or so Hall of Famers here, so we're going to get at least one decent player. So Nyber, not surprisingly, goes to Quebec with the first pick. Simpson to Ottawa with the second. Stanley to Montreal with the third. And we'll again go with our house rule here. Only Quebec guys. Oh, that's not good. Do I have anybody with a French-Canadian name at least? Well, Duford sort of is, but Angus definitely isn't, so don't think he qualifies. No, I'm going to have to take one of the... Yeah, this is the first time that rule has caused us any trouble. And have to take Billy Bell.
I guess it means you just don't necessarily have to sign anybody.
And just have to take a defenseman here. I think Gorman was the better of these two, but not really much to choose from there. And O'Grady is still there, so take him. And let's see, don't really need another goalie, and Tatro seems kind of flexible, so I'll take him with the last pick. I'd nominate these guys I'm actually going to sign. And there we go, everybody signing new contracts. That's good. Oh no, oh no. That's not good at all. This is
What?
why I need to pay attention when to the contract signing. Jack McDonald and George Vezina signed with the new league. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's a problem.
That hurts a lot.
Well, first things first, find us a goalie, and I think I might even waive the house rule on going with Quebec guys because I don't know how many. Oh, we got a few guys, but they're not. Okay, I'm gonna. Because I did something stupid there. I'll let myself sign a non-Quebec, non-French goalie, but even then, there are not that many options. Right. Yeah, I guess I'm stuck with probably Broughton, who has been in the league for a couple of years and done terribly. Okay, that was stupid. I can lose. I can afford to lose McDonald. I could not afford to lose Vezina. So what?
Isn't it loss hurts?
Yeah, what gift have we given to? Oh, Cyclone. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. Cyclone Taylor, who historically went to Vancouver, but signed with the new league, so he's gone west like he did. And after the Renfrew franchise folded, no, yeah, millionaires have loaded up, taking two guys off the defending NHA champions, us. So we're gonna have to try and pry Vezina back out at some point. Bert Lindsay, you see a lot of the Renfrew guys have gone west. Oh, and Jete, another guy that I probably should have signed. How many? What's my contract limit at? 25. And I at least still own the rights to Vezina. But get Bell signed. And probably get O'Grady signed as well. And well, we'll see if we get the free agent goalie we wanted. I don't know, might need to make a trade to fix that goalie situation.
Bump, bump, bump.
As I think Ottawa had two good goalies. Montreal doesn't really have anything. Oh no, they lost whoever the other one was. And Quebec, yeah, actually the goalies are pretty terrible.
So maybe we'll get away with it.
Well, I mean, it's going to make this season a lot tougher, regardless. Go from the best goalie in the world to, or at least, okay, there we go. We got Broughton. So he's a 1.5 stars and 9.38 goals against average last year for a team that went out of business. So, well, we made this more challenging than it needed to be.
Things happen.
Note to self: go through all these one-year contracts next year and get them re-signed before. I mean, it's a pretty good illustration of what actually happened, because a lot of the NHA stars did wind up going west when the contract ran out, because nothing really stopping them from doing that, and that's what happens when you've got a competitive league in there. And let's see, Taylor, Westminster, Vancouver didn't get anybody else, although. Yeah, Bobby Rowe, another good player off of New Westminster, so or off of Renfrew, rather. Man. Okay, so the PCHE teams are going to be competitive when we wind up having to play them in the Cup final, which I don't think starts not this season. I think it's a year after. So don't have to quite deal with that yet, but that's on the horizon. And oh, you can see we've oops, changed uniforms again, although it's not showing. That's odd. It's not. Oh no, I guess yeah, that's right. It doesn't the logo on the uniform isn't going to change. The uniform's the same, but the logo is now the slightly different version of the C. The Canadians are going to go through pretty much a logo change almost every year that they're in the NHA for the first few years before eventually settling on something that's close to what the familiar look is. So, well, I think, do we have any? No, none of these guys are seriously injured. And one contract to spare. We'll leave that as it is. Or do we need to sign? No, we don't really need to sign to Tro. We got other prospects. So we're gonna have another. We're gonna go from being a low offense, good defense team last year, and I think we're gonna have to turn that around entirely this year, and push a lot harder on offense, and just hope we can outscore the bad goaltending. But I think we can wind up there, Adam.
All right. With that, then, thank you very much for tuning in to another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. We typically stream every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Franchise Hockey Manager, as well as twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. All of our streams are archived on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OOTP Developments as well. We can find them going live on Sundays at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Franchise Hockey Manager. On Twitter, we're at Franchise Hockey. We can find a link to our official Discord in our Twitter bio. And of course, you come on down to our official website, which is ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner, which will bring you to the official forums and come talk about Franchise Hockey Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, Perfect Team Go, or anything else you wish to discuss. Jeff, did I miss anything?
No, other than to say that, yeah, as I said, we're working on the next update, hoping to have that out sometime next week. But well, I mean, definitely before Christmas, but hopefully towards the earlier end of the week. Well, early midweek. There's a couple of things we got to get done. It's going to be a little bit tight, but I think we're pretty close on everything. But we're going to have a bunch of testing to do this weekend, so we'll hopefully have that to you fairly soon. And other than that, we will be back. Yeah, it's not Christmas yet. Next week, we'll be back with your Penguins game where you're struggling to make it to 500 and apparently trading away all your players.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming out, and we will see you back here a week from now.